Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 4 of the Big Fight Feel podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Big Fight Feel podcast today, right here on the Big Fight Feel channel on Sunday, March 28th, 2021. Thank you guys for joining me here today on the channel. We got some stuff to talk about today as we are close to WrestleMania 37. We're going to talk about what my all-time favorite WrestleMania match is ever, and I will be discussing some of your favorite all-time WrestleMania matches as well today on the podcast. We got the WWE Hall of Fame coming up in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks a little bit. We have some new inductions into the Hall of Fame. We're going to talk about that today. Also, Bayley. Oh, Bayley. When was the last time Bayley has been on SmackDown? She has not even had a role at WrestleMania. And I'm going to talk about why today. That is absolutely ridiculous. We got so much more for you today on the podcast, so you know what to do. Sit back, relax, and bring your favorite drink to the podcast, man. Woo. What an intro, man. I love it. Thank you guys for joining me here today on episode 4 of the Big Fight Feel podcast. This is, of course, Joseph Conlon here with you today. We are 2 weeks. We are 2 weeks away until WrestleMania, and I honestly just can't believe that I'm going to be there live at WrestleMania. My first WrestleMania live. I am very, very excited for it. I can't wait for WrestleMania week. I can't wait to get down to Tampa. I do have the WrestleMania week schedule here on the channel complete, besides my vlogs, because I don't know how that's gonna work. If I'm gonna go home to a hotel and upload night one when I get back from the show, or upload it the next day, I don't know how I'm gonna do that, but I have time to think about it. I have time to process it. So, but I will be posting my WrestleMania week schedule either tonight or later in the week. So, be on the lookout for that. And today, before we get started with the podcast, if you guys have not already, be sure to check out this past week's videos. We have Monday Night Raw. We have AEW, we have NXT, and we have SmackDown. The views were great the past few weeks. Fastlane got over 100, Raw got over 100, AEW Dynamite got over 100, and SmackDown got over 100. And I don't want to insult or anything, but the NXT review numbers, I seriously can't wait until NXT goes to Tuesday nights. I seriously can't wait, because I feel like more people are going to care about NXT when they go to a separate night. They are by themselves, and it feels permanent now with the WWE production schedule that NXT, starting April 13th, is going to be on Tuesday nights. And it's even more effective now because Impact Wrestling came out this past week and announced that they are moving to Thursday nights. So we have wrestling, folks, every single night of the week. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy of a wrestling schedule we have on a weekly basis. It is insane. It really is. But that's that. Make sure you guys go check out those videos. And we're going to, before we start anything today on the podcast, I want to get this out there first. I should have done it right after my intro. I completely forgot. I'm sorry. But I want to do it right now before I talk about anything. I want to send my thoughts and prayers to Jesse James, a.k.a. Road Dogg, who suffered a heart, his wife came out on social media and said that Road Dogg has suffered a heart attack. He was hospitalized Friday night, I believe it was, and he is set for surgery tomorrow, which is Monday. So he is obviously he's part of a big hand in NXT with Triple H and Shawn Michaels and William Regal. So I just want to send my thoughts and prayers out to Road Dogg. The entire community is praying for him right now, and I hope he will be fine with all of this after he suffered a heart attack. So my thoughts and prayers, I'm sending my thoughts and prayers to Road Dogg during this difficult time for him. Now we're going to get started with the podcast. We are obviously going to start with today's topic of discussion. It's WrestleMania week. Not WrestleMania week. It's almost WrestleMania week. And with that, a lot of people during this time of year, myself included, we go back and we watch old WrestleManias or old matches that happened at WrestleMania that we all loved and cherished so much. I do it every year. I go back and I sit down and I watch an old WrestleMania or a match that happened previously at WrestleMania. And a lot of people are like, this is my favorite WrestleMania of all time. This is my favorite match of all time. A lot of people do that, myself included. So what I wanted to do was come on here and talk about what my favorite WrestleMania was ever and what my favorite match ever was with WrestleMania. So I tweeted out Thursday night that this would be my big topic. I'd be talking about what my favorite match of all time is, what my favorite WrestleMania ever is. And I said, I want to know what you guys, I want to know what your favorite WrestleMania match is. I want to know what your favorite WrestleMania of all time is. And put it in the comments down below. And we certainly do have that. After I read off some of the lovely comments about favorite matches, favorite WrestleManias of all time, I'm going to talk about my favorite match of all time at WrestleMania, and I'm going to talk about my favorite WrestleMania of all time. But we're going to read some of the comments first. The first one we have Tim Stifader. Shout out to Tim if you're watching this. He says, my favorite WrestleMania is WrestleMania 21. The Money in the Bank ladder match was introduced. Batista and John Cena won their matches. Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, and HBK versus Shawn Michaels were both bangers. He didn't say what his favorite WrestleMania match of all time was, but his favorite WrestleMania of all time is WrestleMania 21. And HBK and Kurt Angle, they did have a... I did go back and watch... I watched that match like a week ago, and they had that was a great match. That was a great WrestleMania match, so I got to give props to that one. We have Nathan Sisko, and he says, my favorite WrestleMania... Oh, wait, hold on. First one, he says, my favorite match is Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Shawn Michaels, and he said, hold on a second. He said his favorite WrestleMania ever is WrestleMania 19. So, thank you, Nathan Sisko. We have Wesley Landon Woosley, who said, obviously WrestleMania 3. I would not know what that one was. That's way back in the day. I have never watched WrestleMania 3 before. I might have to. He said his favorite match was Ricky Steamboat versus Randy Savage. Honorable mention, Andre the Giant versus Hulk Hogan. Very interesting. Very interesting. I have not watched WrestleMania 3 ever. I have never watched WrestleMania 3, so maybe I'll go back and watch it. I don't know. We have Kevin Cabaza. Shout out to Kevin. That's one of my good friends there. He said his favorite WrestleMania of all time is WrestleMania 28, and his favorite match is End of an Era, Triple H versus The Undertaker. We have Wesley Williams. You guys hear him every Wednesday, see him every Wednesday here on the Big Fight Field channel for the AEW Dynamite reviews. Shout out to him. He said his favorite match of WrestleMania of all time was Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton versus Batista for the World and WWE Championship. He did not say what his favorite WrestleMania of all time was, but yeah, that was a great WrestleMania moment for me. I loved when Daniel Bryan won that title, got that whole WrestleMania and all that stuff, and beating Triple H on the first match of the night. That was fantastic. That's something I'll probably never forget. We have Warren, the Discus Lariat. Shout out to him. He says favorite WrestleMania 20. Favorite match, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25, or Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13. We have Austin Whitley. Shout out to him. He says this classic right here, and it's Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker from WrestleMania 25. We have a couple more here, and then I will get into my favorite WrestleMania match and WrestleMania of all time. We have Cameron Johnson. Shout out to Cameron Johnson. You guys see him every week for the NXT reviews here on the Big Fight Field channel. Shout out to him. He says, my favorite WrestleMania of all time is 27 because of all the value it holds to me. 27 was the first Mania I convinced to buy live. He says, my favorite WrestleMania match is Bryan versus Batista versus Orton because it was Bryan's first WrestleMania win. I can honestly agree with that. That big moment, like I said with Wesley's, big moment right there. So, SCW, shout out to you. I know you watched the podcast, so shout out to you, man. He says, end of an era, WrestleMania 28, Hell in a Cell, Undertaker versus Triple H with Shawn Michaels as the special guest referee. The storytelling, the brutality, the emotion, and who can forget the streak? This match had everything. You're damn right it had everything. And I'm actually going to get to that in a little bit. He says favorite WrestleMania of all time, though, is WrestleMania 7. Gamers Goon. Shout out to you, bro. I'm going to be appearing on Gamers Goon's channel during WrestleMania week to do a collaboration for WrestleMania preview and predictions on his channel. So make sure you go subscribe. He is almost at 400 subscribers, just like myself. So make sure you go hit that subscribe button over on his channel. He says, I know it's not the better one, but it had the most impact on my life. Streak versus career, WrestleMania 26, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, also the first Mania I watched live. That is also the first WrestleMania that I watched live as well, was WrestleMania 26. Indigo Uchiha. Shout out to you. It was actually his birthday. It was Indigo's birthday on Friday. So I want to wish Indigo a late happy birthday here on the podcast today. I know you're watching this, bro. So happy birthday to you. And he says his favorite WrestleMania is WrestleMania 17. He says, my favorite WrestleMania match of all time is Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin from WrestleMania 13. And then the last one we have is Nathan Hansen. Shout out to you, Nathan Hansen. He says, I remember WrestleMania 27 in Miami. It was his first show I ever bought on pay-per-view. The Hell in a Cell between Triple H and Undertaker was absolutely amazing. And I was a huge fan of The Rock, and I loved the main event. I loved that main event too. That was amazing. That main event was very good between John Cena and The Rock. So those are your guys' comments. I appreciate all of you who commented on the post. Now I'm going to get to mine. First, I'm going to talk about my favorite WrestleMania. The first WrestleMania that I ever watched was WrestleMania 26. That was the first live WrestleMania I can remember watching live. I really liked WrestleMania 28. You had a lot of memorable stuff on that show. You had the 18 seconds thing with Daniel Bryan and Sheamus. You had, obviously, you had Streak versus Career. You had End of an Era, my bad. You had End of an Era with Triple H and The Undertaker. You had Jericho versus CM Punk for the WWE title. And then your main event. Once in a lifetime. It felt like once in a lifetime, but then a year later, they did it again. I was actually not a fan of that. But Rock was the WWE champion at the time, and John Cena won the championship after he lost to Rock at WrestleMania 28. It really did feel like a once-in-a-lifetime match. The two biggest stars in the entire world in wrestling in WWE, John Cena and The Rock, main event WrestleMania. It just felt very, very... It felt like a big deal. It really did feel like a big deal. WrestleMania 30, I didn't really like WrestleMania 29. Besides CM Punk versus The Undertaker, I didn't really like that show that much. I'm going to be truly honest with you. WrestleMania 30, it had its moments. Daniel Bryan over Triple H, that was great. And then Daniel Bryan obviously winning the main event, that was, spectacular. But the overall show, in my opinion, was ruined by The Undertaker losing his streak to Brock Lesnar. The streak should have never been broken, in my opinion. The streak should have never been broken. And they had to lose to Brock Lesnar. And then you had the burial of Bray Wyatt against John Cena, where Bray Wyatt should have went over in that match, and John Cena buried him. So, WrestleMania 30 was ruined by those two moments. WrestleMania 31. WrestleMania 31 was really good in my opinion. You had the opening match with Daniel Bryan winning the Intercontinental Championship in a ladder match. You had Randy Orton hit the best RKO of all time still on Seth Rollins when he attempted a curb stomp, and Orton countered it into an RKO in midair. That was picture perfect. Absolutely picture perfect. You had Sting and Triple H. I'm not even going to talk about that. You guys probably know what happened in that match, so I'm not even going to bring it up here on the channel. You had Rusev lose to John Cena. You had Bray Wyatt lose to The Undertaker. And you had the Seth Rollins cash-in during the Brock Lesnar-Roman Reigns match. And I'm going to stop right there comparing WrestleManias. WrestleMania 35 was decent, but the show was way too long. That show got over near 1 a.m. Seriously, that show got over around close to 1 a.m. if I remember. I'm actually going to say my favorite WrestleMania of all time was, from what I've seen, WrestleMania 28. WrestleMania 28 was the first WrestleMania, was my favorite WrestleMania. And my favorite match of all time came from that show. It's not just my favorite WrestleMania match of all time, but it's my favorite match of all time. And it's the end of an era between Triple H and The Undertaker with Shawn Michaels as the special guest referee. You know, you could say this match was 4 years in the making, if you want to think about it. It all started at WrestleMania 25, where Shawn Michaels fought The Undertaker. It's a lot of people's favorite WrestleMania match of all time. It was a great match. It was awesome. It wasn't my favorite WrestleMania, but it started there. And then you had Streak versus Career at WrestleMania 26. The storytelling was unbelievable in that match. Shawn Michaels lost. That was obviously the right way for him to go out. Lose to The Undertaker at WrestleMania. In the main event, one of the best to ever do it, Shawn Michaels. WrestleMania 27, you had Triple H lose to The Undertaker. But he walked out the battle while Undertaker got carried out on a gurney. So Triple H he might have lost, but he was the last one standing. And then you had what truly felt like the end of an era. Triple H, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels was in there as a special guest referee. And everything made that match the way it was. It's very tough to say a match was perfect. A match was picture perfect. Everything was right in that match. I truly felt like this match was perfect. This was a perfect match. An A+ match between Triple H and The Undertaker. You had the emotion. You had the emotion with Shawn Michaels as the referee, as he gave The Undertaker a swing chin music, and Triple H gave Undertaker the pedigree. Everybody was like, that's it. The Undertaker streak is over, but no, The Undertaker kicked out, and the emotion on Shawn Michaels' face was amazing. The way he sold the emotion of The Undertaker kicking out, of the pedigree, was amazing. So you had the emotion. You had the storytelling of the end of an era. And Triple H is finally going to put The Undertaker down. The story was phenomenal. Heck, the wrestling was amazing too. The wrestling in that match. But the moment at the end, which truly is actually one of my favorite WrestleMania moments ever. You had Undertaker, after winning that match, he picked up Triple H. Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker carried Triple H to the top of the stage. And all three of them gave each other a group hug after the match was over, truly signaling that this was the end of an era with them three on the stage. I mean, how could you say anything else is better than that? How could you say anything else is better than Shawn Michaels giving The Undertaker a swing chin music into a pedigree and The Undertaker kicked out? How can you say that something is better than that? I can't do it. I really can't do it. That is in my opinion, that is the pinnacle. That match is the pinnacle of WrestleMania matches. That match right there. Undertaker, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels. And honestly, it's going to be a match that one day, I'm only 18 years old right now, but it's going to be a match one day where if I have kids one day, this will absolutely be a match I go back and show. Be like, this is a true WrestleMania match. This right here. And honestly, if John Cena and The Rock wasn't on that show, this should have been the main event. So that is my favorite WrestleMania match of all time. All time. That was a very fun discussion. I really liked that. But now we're going to get into the rumors and the news that came out this week. We have 5 topics to talk about here on the channel. Let me take a sip of my cold drink. We have 5 topics to talk about. All of them are related to WWE as it's WrestleMania season, and probably there's going to be a lot of topics, a lot of news in the WWE leading up to WrestleMania 37. We're going to start at the top of my list here with WWE is moving the Thunderdome once again to the Yuengling Center on the campus of University of South Florida. That is happening on Monday, April 12th. That is the Raw after WrestleMania. WWE will be in the Yuengling Center in the University of South Florida. I truly hope, and I mean this so hard-heartedly, I truly hope that this is the last time WWE is moving the Thunderdome to a different venue. I really do. I think all of you can agree with me that the Thunderdome is running its course. I think time's up for the Thunderdome. Yeah, hopefully this is the last time WWE has to use the Thunderdome in a different venue, because honestly, if WrestleMania plans out to go well and everything goes good with the fans at WrestleMania and they're in their pods and their social distancing, I know I'll be doing that. I plan on hopefully meeting a couple people that I know at WrestleMania, but besides seeing them, I do plan on staying in my pod and social distancing so that I don't get in trouble. But if people are able to do that and WrestleMania goes well, I see no problem with WWE bringing back at least maybe 25% capacity for the weekly shows, because I don't think that bringing fans back is going to change Raw and SmackDown at all. I still think they're going to be the same shows we see every single week, every Monday and every Friday, especially Raw. Raw is not going to change because fans are coming back. But what will change is the show will have some energy. Because to me, especially watching Raw, that show has no energy and it has no passion when I watch that show every Monday. It doesn't have that. It just feels everything is taken down a notch. Everything is it's all lackadaisical and all that stuff. There's no energy when I sit down and I watch Raw for 3 hours on a Monday night. And the main roster is missing that crowd. Now, like I said, bringing back the fans is not going to change the shows, which for me, for right now, at least AEW has a little bit of fans. They have a little bit of fans that go to Daly's Place for Dynamite. I think it's like 1,000 fans, I think, inside of Daly's Place, which is not a bad number, honestly. And you could tell where the crowd's on fire and not, but really all companies, all weekly shows, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW, they all need the fans. And NXT is another one. NXT is truly another one that could really use the fans, in my opinion. They could use that 500 people, 400 people that are in Full Sail University every Wednesday. That crowd is awesome. That Full Sail University crowd at NXT is awesome, man. And they really need, at the NXT shows, they need that crowd. They really do. The 50 people, the 30 people inside the CWC banging on the plexiglass and whatnot, that doesn't work for me. That's not bringing fans back. Most of them, I think, are probably family and friends as well. So, that to me, having 30 people in there, 50 people banging on a plexiglass with mic'd up NXT chants, that doesn't work for me. That's not bringing fans back. AEW has some fans back, but hopefully we get them at a full capacity, or at least 50% capacity sooner rather than later. But Raw and SmackDown, especially Raw, they have no energy for their show whatsoever. And I'm really hoping this move to the Yuengling Center is going to be the last time we see the Thunderdome, because it has run its course. Now, when could WWE bring back fans full time? A lot of people are saying SummerSlam's a good date to bring back fans again. That is more than likely the next time after WrestleMania, of course. SummerSlam is more than likely the next time that WWE is going to have fans at a live show, is SummerSlam of this year, and they could use it. They could use it, but hopefully we could get them back at the weekly shows as well with Raw and SmackDown. So, like I said, hopefully this is the last time that WWE is using the Thunderdome. Next, we got Bad Bunny. We got Bad Bunny with WrestleMania news. Reportedly, plans changed for Bad Bunny at WrestleMania. It was all speculated that it was going to be Bad Bunny teaming up in a tag team match against Damian Priest against The Miz and John Morrison. But now it is scheduled to be a singles match at WrestleMania between The Miz and Bad Bunny. Now, according to Mike Johnson, a PW insider, he says that the reason it is now a singles match between The Miz and Bad Bunny is because Damian Priest and John Morrison both have minor injuries to them and are right now not cleared to compete. But he does go on to say that if they are cleared to compete before WrestleMania, more than likely the match is going to turn into a tag team match, which I said this past Monday on the Raw review. I knew these four were going to be involved in something at WrestleMania, and I would much rather see this situation have a tag team match than I would a singles match between The Miz and Bad Bunny. I just feel like if you do that, that is not going to end good. I would much rather see a tag team match between these guys. But if we get a singles match, I don't really know how good this match. If we get a singles match, this match needs to go 5-7 minutes tops. This does not need to be a long match. This needs to be 5 to 7 minutes tops, in my opinion. But if they're going to really have a singles match, this truly shows that WWE trusts Bad Bunny, that he has enough training at the Performance Center ever since the Royal Rumble, and he's good to go in a singles match. But it shows how they trust The Miz to go in there to lead Bad Bunny to a match and not hurt him. Because, honestly, no disrespect, but if they want to put him, if WWE wants to put Bad Bunny in the ring with somebody who is going to take care of him and is not going to hurt him at all, it's The Miz. The Miz has probably the weakest moves in the WWE on the main roster, with his punches, his turnbuckle clothesline, skull crusher finale. He would not hurt Bad Bunny, in my opinion, because of his offense. He is not that hard striker. He's not a guy that's gonna go in there and throw you around and hurt you and all that stuff. He's in there. He's going to be there to protect Bad Bunny and not hurt him. But like I said on Monday, and I'll say it again, if we had to choose either a singles match between Bad Bunny and The Miz, I knew these four were going to be involved with each other at WrestleMania, so I have no problem with it now. But I would much rather see a tag team match than a singles match, because at least you could get Damian Priest on the card, have him have his first WrestleMania, also put some spotlight on Bad Bunny, but you can also get Damian Priest over at the same time. I just feel like if he's shifted to a managerial role, Damian Priest, that would suck. That would leave a bad taste in my mouth, in my opinion. But that is now planned with Bad Bunny at WrestleMania. We have new inductees into the WWE Hall of Fame, the 2021 class, the Hall of Fame. We have Molly Holly and Eric Bischoff already inducted into the Hall of Fame. This week, it was announced 3 inductees will be going into the Hall of Fame class. It was announced Tuesday on WWE India that the Great Khali, yes, the Great Khali is getting inducted into this year's Hall of Fame. And then, so, congratulations to Khali, I guess. I guess that he's just gonna not really say much and goodbye. I really think his manager, Rajan Singh, he should go into the Hall of Fame with him. I really do. He should be inducted as well. But he is not inducted. At least you could have him induct Khali into the Hall of Fame. That's what I would do, at least. It was announced on Wednesday's edition of The Bump. I don't watch The Bump at all. Don't ask me that question. But it was announced Wednesday on The Bump that the Big Red Machine, Kane, would be inducted into the 2021 class of the Hall of Fame in WWE. That I have absolutely no problem with. I am totally fine with Kane going into the Hall of Fame. He is undoubtedly a Hall of Famer. He is he's someone I grew up watching when I was a little kid. Kane was always on SmackDown, feuding with Rey Mysterio for the world title, feuding with Edge. I love Kane as a little kid. I was scared of him a little bit. Not like the 1990s Kane that had the creepy music and all that stuff. Now that gave me nightmares. But I am totally good with the Big Red Machine going into the Hall of Fame class of 2021. He undoubtedly deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He is one of my favorites of all time, and I think that The Undertaker or Daniel Bryan should induct him into the Hall of Fame. I would prefer The Undertaker, but if he can't do it, then I would prefer Daniel Bryan to induct Kane into the Hall of Fame. And then finally, this was not confirmed by the WWE, but it got confirmed by the Wrestling Observer and Dave Meltzer that Rob Van Dam would be getting inducted into the 2021 Hall of Fame. I love that. I love that just as much as Kane. Rob Van Dam is an influence in the wrestling business. A lot of people look at Rob Van Dam in 2011, 2007, all that when he was in TNA, came back to WWE in 2011, made his return to Philadelphia Money in the Bank 2011. I remember exactly where I was for that. But, there's a lot of people in the wrestling business who look up to Rob Van Dam and want to be exactly like Rob Van Dam because that guy had it all. He had charisma. He was a very good wrestler. He was a workhorse. He could go hardcore. He could do the brutal, violent matches. That guy literally had everything. And I am a huge fan of him as well. A lot of people were wishing him to go to AEW during the big signing. I don't know about that right now. I said I would be a little bit disappointed by that. He's getting up there in age, and I don't really want to see Rob Van Dam in the ring anymore in 2021. But that so far is the class of 2021. Now the Hall of Fame this year is being combined with the Hall of Fame of last year, 2020, since they never got a ceremony. That includes the NWO, the Bella Twins, JBL, the British Bulldog, Jushin Thunder Liger, and it was supposed to be Dave Batista, but he dropped out of the Hall of Fame this year. And the reason WWE says is because him and WWE's schedule wasn't on the same page. He wouldn't be able to get to the ceremony, and that he could give the fans a proper thank you and thank everyone that helped him throughout his career. So WWE just told you right there when they include the word fans. So, yeah, WWE and Dave Batista might not be on the same schedule of scheduling for the Hall of Fame, but I truly think, and who can blame Big Dave for this? The reason he is not going in the Hall of Fame because he wants to give the fans a proper thank you with them in attendance, and he could probably thank his employees that helped him throughout the years. So it's going to be about another year or 2 years until you see Dave Batista in the WWE Hall of Fame. But I'll say it again, the WWE is combining the 2020 and 2021 class of Hall of Fame with NWO, the Bella Twins, the British Bulldog, JBL, Jushin Thunder Liger in 2020, and then 2021, Molly Holly, Eric Bischoff, Great Khali, Kane, and Rob Van Dam. So we got 10 inductions that night, Tuesday night, April 6th. So that's going to be a long night for sure. I don't know if I'll be watching all. I might watch a little bit for specific speeches that I want to hear, but more than likely, I rarely watch the entire ceremony. So I'll watch a little bit of it, maybe half of it, but I probably won't end up watching the whole thing. So that is that. That is all the news on the Hall of Fame, who's going in this year, why Batista is out. So I decided to tie that into one topic. And then we have, this is a big topic for me. I found this very interested in this, and I feel like I would tie this into WrestleMania. We have news on Bayley, who was on Renee Young's Oral Sessions podcast. She talked about her character and her show on SmackDown, Ding Dong Hello, and she had a lot to say about that. And I'm also going to tie that into why WWE, why haven't they had a plan for Bayley at WrestleMania? That's honestly ridiculous to even think about. So, right here, sharing her plans on Renee Paquet's Oral Sessions podcast, Bayley revealed how she is trying to grow her character on SmackDown. She wants to be a little insane and aggressive, but she doesn't want to be similar to every other WWE superstar who has their own talk show. I can respect that. She then goes on to say, I didn't want to be like my in-ring character who has a talk show. That just felt weird to me. I'm trying to grow my character a little different, a little insane and aggressive. I don't know. I wanted to be a whole different character. I couldn't tell if I wanted to be this talk show host that's trying too hard or trying too hard to look the part, or do I just want to look ridiculous? Either way, I wanted to look stupid and funny and poke fun at the idea. She then goes on to say, she then discussed her talk show, Ding Dong Hello, coming into SmackDown with the WWE. She says, one time they texted me a couple days before TV and they were like, hey, we're going to start this talk show for you. And I said, I'm going to have a talk show? Like, what? Why? What am I going to talk about? It was not my idea at all. I just didn't know what they wanted to do, why they wanted to do it. But I was like, all right, cool. They must think I'm entertaining, and they like how I talk now. I was a little nervous about it, but I also was excited for this opportunity. The way they have mapped out was a typical talk show. You know, it was like, all right, we're going to give 2 chairs here, and then we're going to have the set here, and this. I was like, no. You guys are giving me a talk show. I'm going to set it up how I want to. We need a door. We need a big chair. I don't want my guests to have a chair. So that is the discussion that Bayley had with Renee Paquet on her about her talk show and the idea of her talk show and how she wanted it to be. She told management, no. If I'm going to have a talk show, I'm going to do it the way I want it and the way I want it to be set up. So I can respect that from Bayley. Now I want to tie this into WrestleMania with Bayley. Let me take a sip real quick because this is just ridiculous in my opinion. I don't know if you guys have an opinion on this, but to me, WrestleMania is in 2 weeks. It's in 2 weeks, and Bayley has not been on SmackDown since she was in a 6-person tag with herself, Shayna Baszler, and Nia Jax against Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair, and Reginald. She has not been on SmackDown since then. And it appears WWE has no plans for Bayley at WrestleMania, the biggest show of the year. Let me take you guys back a couple months ago when WWE, when they were in the Performance Center, okay, herself and Sasha Banks carried that show, the Performance Center shows. Sasha Banks and Sasha Banks and Bayley were the pinnacle of the WWE shows, Raw and SmackDown, when they were at the Performance Center at that time. The entertaining duo, they were the tag team champions. Bayley, those straps, 2 belts, Banks. They were carrying the women's division, and they were carrying the entire company during the shows when they used wrestlers in the crowd. So, let me get this straight. You have Bayley. She was one of your top superstars during the Performance Center shows. And you have nothing. You have nothing for her at WrestleMania. That's... I don't know. I don't know. I just see a problem with that. She's one of your top female superstars, and she's not being used at WrestleMania. Do you guys not see a problem with that? She should be in something. Even if it's not that big, she should be in something at WrestleMania. And no, I'm not talking about the Battle Royal, because she is better than the Battle Royal. You can have her. I'm going to give you guys an idea right now. It's not too late to put Bayley in a match at WrestleMania. And if I were to put Bayley in a match at WrestleMania, here's what I would do. I would have her do a special edition of Ding Dong Hello this coming Friday on SmackDown. You have her guest be Sonya Deville, and she talks why she doesn't have a match at WrestleMania. What are they going to do with her at WrestleMania? She deserves to be on WrestleMania. And Bayley gets all feisty towards Sonya, and she starts to piss Sonya off and yelling at her. And Sonya's like, all right, you want a match? I got you an opponent at WrestleMania. You know who your opponent's going to be at WrestleMania? It's going to be me. Boom. Boom. I just booked Bayley's match for WrestleMania for you guys right there. Have Sonya Deville have her return match at WrestleMania against Bayley. And Bayley could put her over. I'm sure Bayley would have no problem putting over Sonya Deville. And then you start the push for Sonya Deville all throughout the spring, into the summer, and then eventually she could become the SmackDown Women's Champion if WWE were to go all in on Sonya Deville. But if you want to have Bayley do something at WrestleMania, Bayley should be doing something at WrestleMania. And if you wanted her to do something, I would put her up against Sonya Deville, and I would do that segment Friday on SmackDown. Or if you don't want to do that, you could just have her do a Lopa challenge. You could have Beth Phoenix wrestle her. If you wanted to bring back Trish Stratus, you can do Trish Stratus versus Bayley. I'm sure nobody would have a problem with that. Or, I doubt this is going to happen, but I'm just throwing stuff on the wall now. Say Io Shirai loses to Raquel Gonzalez at TakeOver. What's she going to do on NXT after that? What does Io Shirai have in NXT after she loses the title to Raquel Gonzalez? You can have her debut on the main roster at WrestleMania against Bayley and have her win. I doubt that happens, but man, how cool would that be? That would be very, very cool, but I want to see Bayley do something at WrestleMania. She deserves it. She is A, one of the top female stars in the company, and B, she carried the WWE throughout the shows at the Performance Center. So, hopefully WWE in these 2 weeks can come up with a plan for Bayley at WrestleMania. But ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up episode 4 today on the Big Fight Field podcast. I want to thank you guys so much for watching the podcast today. If you have not already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We have some new content coming up for you guys this week. We're just 1 week closer. 1 week closer to WrestleMania 37. I think it's going to be the same schedule as it was this week. Raw on Monday, AEW on Wednesday, NXT on Thursday, SmackDown on Friday. And then next week, instead of Sunday, the podcast is going to be on Saturday because next Sunday is Easter Sunday. And I don't think it'd be a good idea to have the podcast go up on a national holiday when more than likely people are going to be with their families and all that stuff. So the podcast next week is going to be on Saturday instead of Sunday. So be on the lookout for episode 5 next week. So be sure to hit that subscribe button. We're at 371 subscribers. Let's try to get to 375 subs before the new week kicks off with Monday Night Raw on Monday night. Comment down below your thoughts on today's discussions here on the channel with the topics. If you want to leave your favorite WrestleMania and your favorite WrestleMania match ever down in the comments below, I will gladly allow that. I will like the comment and respond to it as soon as I can. So let me know down below. Hit that like button if you like what you heard from me today on the podcast. Follow me on Twitter at Conlon_Joseph, and I will see you guys back here on the channel tomorrow night for your Monday Night Raw review right here on the Big Fight Field channel. So have a good day, guys. Stay safe, and as always, stay classy.